per se. But I mean, we're in probably the most interesting part, right?
I mean,
Artifacts?
I'd rush through anything, but I love Rush. Like I just love Rush. Like, and that's also my dog's name and a favorite band's name and Mega Man's dog name. So when it comes to Rush, big fan actually. Speaking of big fans, Aether Harvester.
Is that just a giant fan?
I don't. It looks like a.
Well, it's not the card giant fan.
It looks like a drone. Like it definitely looks like it's got a bunch of like it's camera on this. Some kids controlling it. And I say kid because there's a crew of one. This is a 3 generic for an artifact vehicle, a 3/5 that's flying. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Pay an energy. Aether Harvester gains lifelink. It's on a turn, and again crew cost of 1. This is a lot for a 3-mana vehicle. Like, it's a really low crew cost. A 3/5 body, means it really doesn't die to a lot of removal. It gives you energy. And I do like that you can actually give it lifelink despite it not being a creature.
Yeah, sure.
It's like lifelink. It's like, okay, is it crude? No.
See, this is the kind of card that, like, if Emrakul was still around, it's just like, pay all your energy.
Yeah,
definitely. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we've learned, now that we've gotten to play with vehicles for a little bit, the crew cost is really the key. Like, having crew 1 is just the best possible, right? Like, they haven't made a crew 0 one yet. But, yeah, crew 1, it just makes it super easy to be able to crew. And it does give you that, step up. You use a 3-man inspector, for example, and you're jumping up to 3 power by having this card.
And flying. Like, evasion is huge. I mean, Smuggler's Copter certainly would not have been as good if it didn't have flying. But, yeah, this card pressures planeswalkers, and also I assume was designed to be a combatant to Smuggler's Copter, but
maybe
it doesn't have to fight in the skies anymore.
Yeah, I like that it's you don't even necessarily need to be playing an energy deck to just get some advantage out of this. Like, you could just have this card on its own and just have the 2 energy and just give it lifelink twice.
Like, a lot of decks that also just have Aether Hub, this can also, without ever caring about lifelink, can also just make your mana better, which is
randomly. Yeah. So this is a sweet card. Like, I think there's definitely going to be a void in standard where Smuggler's Copter was the obvious go-to for vehicles, and if you wanted to play a quote-unquote vehicles deck, you obviously started there.
You still have Skyskiff. Man, if you couldn't hear Morgan rolling his eyes, I don't know. I don't know if you're listening.
You still have Cultivator's Caravan, which I think is still pretty good. This is another one that may compete with that. We'll see. We have a few more we might talk about. So.
Fair enough. Next card.
Next card is what did I put? Is it Crackdown Construct?
You actually have Consulate Turret down here, and I don't know why that made it through. So yes, it's Crackdown.
I might put that in a Pauper Cube.
Cool, that's great. I have no idea why this card is in. Just because it taps, you get an energy.
Charge any laser.
You can search for that with the other
the trophy mage.
Crackdown Construct.
Yeah, Crackdown Construct.
So Crackdown Construct is a 4 generic for a 2/2 construct. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact or creature that isn't a mana ability, Crackdown Construct gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So that doesn't sound all that great. Maybe you get a couple triggers off of this. Triggers off of crew, I guess. But the reason why we're going to talk about this is because there's an infinite combo with Wandering Fumarole.
Yeah.
So if you activate your Wandering Fumarole, it has this ability of pay 0 to switch its power and toughness, which 0 is a pretty low cost, so you can use that a lot. So you could actually just make Crackdown Construct into however big you want it to be. So
this is what I was talking about before, where the Barrage Tyrant also is possibly going to come into play. So this is infinite guy, throw him at you. Now it takes a lot of mana because you have to tap 4 for the activation of the Fumarole and etc. But
I've seen lists with slip through space.
Yeah,
so you can make him just unblockable and just kill him. Now that combo is not as good as the Saheeli combo in my opinion. However, you could just play both in the same deck.
You certainly could. I don't know why you are, but you certainly could.
Yeah. Multiple axes.
I guess.
No, I don't know. But yeah, that's just that's another combo you could do. outside of that, I don't think the card is constructor worthy at all. But
Interesting that the art on this definitely looks like the Heartless version of Gizmo Duck. So when Kingdom Hearts eventually goes to the Darkwing Duck universe, those are the Heartless Gizmo Ducks.
Oh, fair enough.
Look at the weird perched wheel they're on and everything.
Yeah. No, for real.
All right. Next one is Gonti's Aether Heart, which is horrific, but actually continues a weird theme Magic has with like making fake hearts. Like this is actually a thing that's happened multiple
Cold
times.
Steel Art.
Karn?
Well, like yeah,
Karn?
like literally like you have the Heartstone, and then like Karn got a human heart somehow. That's a thing, and then yes, Cold Steel Heart, and now Gonti's Aether Heart. Don't break his heart. His Gonti's Aether Heart. There you go. That actually kind of works.
Just don't
The,
think you understand.
The flavor text on this is great. So go ahead and do the card, and then you also got to do.
All right,
the
so this is a 6 mana, 6 generic legendary artifact. When it enters the battlefield or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get 2 energy. Pay 8 energy, exile Gonti's Aether Heart. Take an extra turn after this one.
Well, I just want to say something here. How come when it says when it enters you get 2 energy, and then next to it it says in reminder text 2 energy counters? Like the easy to read energy, like that's yeah, I could see that it's 2 energy. The one that's like energy.
Yeah, those are always impossible.
Yeah,
the ones
right.
that you have to like try to count, like wait, what? How many is that?
And when this card came out, like Morrow even like had. There was a lot of discussion with people on Twitter about like, yeah, we see how templating that is kind of awkward. So, I don't know if they'll ever go back to energy being a mechanic, but hopefully if they do, they figure out some better templating for this because anything past like 4 is
Yeah, you're just like,
indecipherable.
wait, is that 5 or 6? I don't know. But
No,
anyway.
it's 8, but
It's 8.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's...
What do you get for 8 mana?
turn.
You get an extra turn.
That's
And
pretty
interesting, like I didn't think this card was going to see like a lot of play, if any. But then this the deck that sort of Morgan was alluding to, the one that's playing the oh shoot, what is the one that untaps everything?
Paradox Engine.
Yeah, the Paradox Engine. All of a sudden, that card was really, really good, like incredibly good, and it's how they won. They just like went off on their turn, set up a bunch of creatures, and then they took the extra turn and killed you. So, anything that essentially, once you pay that 6 mana, you don't have to do anything else as far as mana wise. It's certainly scary, and we've already seen a number of decks in Standard that have no issue getting to 8 energy. The question is 6 mana good enough for a time walk in a lot of decks? Or worth it, if that makes sense. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of artifacts that let you take extra turns and often with pretty steep costs. The fact that this one, I mean, you basically only have to have 6 energy in play when you cast this. It's almost like, I mean, Aetherworks Marvel decks get 6 energy by turn 4.
Right.
So, like, assuming you're able to cast this on turn 6 or even sooner than that, it's certainly possible to just take an extra turn now. That's not going to win you the game right away on its own, but just want to point out it's not actually that hard to do. And it's interesting that like non-blue decks can get a time warp effect.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, and time warps have been very good with planeswalkers in the past, and so I mean, planeswalker energy extra turns deck. I don't know if that's a thing, but
I mean,
just saying.
Historically, people have enjoyed doing the time warp again, so it makes sense.
It's only a step to the left.
Then like a jump to the right.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing, Dave. You have the next step.
I don't know. I
Wow.
don't know what it is.
It's sad. All right.
I'm not going to tell them.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't care.
opinion.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
You can send your hate mail to Dave's Facebook message.
Search for me on Facebook. All right. Next card. This is probably like the actual new Smuggler's Copter, right? Heart of Kirin.
Yes.
Heart of Kirin.
Except for it's definitely not.
Two
But
Yeah, not at
generic.
all.
No, probably not. 2 generic. It's a legendary vehicle. It's 4/4 flying vigilance, and it has a crew cost of 3, which is pretty steep. However, you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Kirin's crew cost. So this was, I guess, also one of the first cards we talked about, and I think we wondered if they were going to use Planeswalker Loyalty as a cost in any other way. Turns out they didn't. This is the only card that has any kind of special.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see it again in the future.
Yeah. In the future, but in this set, I mean, this is the only card that uses Planeswalker Loyalty as a cost other than activating Planeswalker abilities. So, yeah, I mean, it's without that. I think the crew cost of 3 is pretty steep. Probably doesn't make it playable. I think the Planeswalker crew cost makes it at least in the conversation.
I agree. I think like the vehicle is going to survive. It's going to have to look elsewhere, and this is the card that still curves best with like DePaula, and is able to be crewed off of veteran motorist as well as Gideon loyalty. So if vehicle still exists, this is now its 2-drop. I still don't know if it's good enough. Now I have seen a number of people experimenting with it in like green-white tokens. We've talked about this deck a lot, but it seems okay there as well. But it's still fairly underwhelming. Like it requires, that crew cost if you don't have a planeswalker is so steep that there's just multiple turns where it sits there lifeless, and it's really easy to turn off like for your opponent, like with a well-timed removal spell. So it's still good at pressuring opposing planeswalkers, the 4/4 flying and vigilance, and it's good at protecting planeswalkers. So it's certainly going to see some amount of play. But its legendary status, its high crew cost, its the fact that it doesn't loot, all makes it a little bit worse.
If Fatal Push does see a lot of play in standard, that makes it a little worse too. Because they don't even need to
do any work.
They don't even need to revolt. Yeah. So, but I do think it's a sweet card. I guess we'll kind of see how the format shapes up.
Sure. Next up, we have Hope of Girper. This is a 1-mana 1/1 legendary artifact creature Thopter.
This is such a weird card.
Yeah. So I just want to say I've already talked to a number of people who have said this is their new colorless commander. And they're all doing things that you wouldn't like because they just want to cast it over and over again to make sure their opponents can never cast spells. But it's a 1/1 flyer that says sacrifice Hope of Girper until your next turn. Target player who was dealt combat damage by Hope of Girper this turn can't cast non-creature spells.
I had to read this card like 3 times before I understood like what it actually did and when I could use it.
So it reminds me a lot of like Xantid Swarm, which was the green 0/1 that like you would attack and then like your opponents couldn't cast instants the rest of the turn. Well, this one like sets it up until your next turn. So like I don't know what you're doing on their turn that matters, but like this sets you up to really like combo off. Like there's a number of combos in the set, and this is the one that says, now it does say second main phase we're comboing off, which means that it's not really protecting Saheeli, but there are others it could protect. I also think just like being a 1/1 flyer for one that has an effect like that means it's really easy to slip into a number of decks, and like it can lead to. I think this card's going to lead to some interesting like decision making from opponents, and I don't know. It may also see no play. I'm not totally sure, but it's got a pretty cool effect.
This card is definitely going to see play. I think it's really interesting that it's like a legend. It's like nothing about this seems legendary to me. But I mean, I guess
you seen the paint job on this. It's got like flame decals and like stuff.
It's got that candy coat. No, I think this card will definitely see play. I don't know that we've seen a 1-mana 1/1 flyer artifact. Just straight. I mean, not that in itself is great, but like. So, like Mike was saying, it can protect combos. I think this could even see modern play. Like if you're talking about combos, I mean, even like something like Ad Nauseam. Like Xantid Swarm has been played in vintage combo decks, and this one you could just like, okay, I'm going to sideboard this in against counterspell decks. All right, attack, sacrifice it. All right, you can't play spells. I'm just going to combo kill you now. You can't do anything.
Yeah,
like that's seems really good to me. I think like even if you're not a combo, you could put this in an aggressive deck, for example. So if you're playing against a deck that has Fumigate, and you're like, okay, I don't want to get Fumigated next turn, so I'm going to sacrifice this, and you can't Fumigate me for a turn, or really cast anything else other than creatures. I think that is like the most fair way to play this card. But even just being a cheap artifact to use improvise, like I think this card is I don't know, I guess secretly one of the best cards in the set. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on that, but
I think it's really, really good, but its legendary status stops it from being like that easy 4 of in a number of decks.
I think you still could play 4 though. You just sacrifice it and play another one.
Sure. I don't know how effective that is. So I think it's very
Like you can't play spells, or to play another one,
yeah. So like,
and then like
so,
the next turn you do it again.
you have 3 in your hand, and then you're like, oh cool, I guess I'll stop you from doing this. And there's a number of decks that literally won't care about being able to cast non-creature spells.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So,
But you know,
no, I agree it's very good, but like I don't know about secretly best card in the set. It's definitely
no, well, not best card. Like one of the best cards. A handful of the best cards.
Can we
I'd say.
run the tape? What did you just say?
Oh,
I said one of the best cards.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate it.
sorry. You have to wait.
All right.
He did say one of the best cards. Like,
Whatever.
not the best card.
Secretly the best card. All right. I guess we're gonna talk about these implements, Dave.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
think
I
it's
just wanted to
fun
touch
talk
on.
about them, too.
I want to touch on these just because I think they are. So each color, I guess, gets an implement. So there are 5, and each of them they're an artifact that have when they're put into the graveyard from the battlefield, they draw you a card, and then depending on they each have different color activations. So the red one, for example, costs 1, and it has pay a red, sacrifice, deal 1 damage to target player, and then when it dies, you draw a card. The blue one, you can sacrifice to draw a card, and then you draw a card. But the cost of that one is 3, so maybe not as good. The only reason why I wanted to talk about these is because they are cheap ways to get artifacts on the battlefield for improvise, which I think may be an important thing. And they do replace themselves, so they give you a little bit of, they're not just dead. You know, it's similar to like chromatic spheres and stuff like that in Tron, where they give you a little bit of fixing, or in this case, gives you a little bit of improvise, but it does replace itself later on. So you're not just investing your cards into nothing.
I think it's also important to note that they are literally they're eggs. You know what I mean? And I mentioned before there's already a Pia's Revolution list. These are the cards that go into the Pia's Revolution list, using things like let's say like a TOG, the Atog reprint that we already talked about.
Yeah, you don't have to actually like sack them to the ability if they just die in any way.
And that's why it's the thing. So there's ways to cycle these. How, is your opponent going to pay 3 for each one of these? Probably not. And how long until you have a way to draw enough cards that it doesn't matter what your opponent's doing. So I think having these around, again, so much of the set feels like Saheeli and Felidar Guardian are so easy to see. There's just so many cards like this that you're just like, man, like I have no idea how to break this, but someone does. Like someone has to.
You know what though, and that just fits the whole theme of this set.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's all about. It's like,
Inventing
we gotta build something. Like, what do we have all the pieces here? Like, how are we gonna put this together?
I thought we already played Urza's Destiny.
I don't know. We put the set on that power level. It's probably one of the most broken sets ever. But.
Power. Well, this set is pushing a couple things, but yeah, no, I understand. So, all right, did you want to add Inspiring Statuary?
Yeah, I think we should talk about that.
Okay, Inspiring Statuary is a 3 generic cost artifact that says non-artifact spells you cast have improvise. Also, Trophy Mage can find this.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
And this leads to some interesting play patterns, especially if you look at decks like the Colossus decks. That like you tap them to cast one thing, and then you tap all those to cast another thing, and like it's sort of interesting, but can also take like a lot of things that are super expensive and make them very very cheap, and it means that you can play a deck that's again we just mentioned these implements. You can play a bunch of implements. You can play prophetic prisms. You can play a bunch of cycling cards, and then really not have to play much mana, and it leads to itself to again like a storm style of just like draw cards, draw cards, draw cards, draw cards, and that's interesting. So
what about with like Paradox Engine?
Oh no, yeah,
like
with Paradox
untap?
Engine, it's horrific.
Yeah. I mean, this essentially, and I'll be honest, I kind of overlooked this card as like, that's like seems like the card that they throw into every set, to kind of, it adds improvise to randomly, random things. But I actually was listening to Top Level podcast, and Patrick Chapin talked about this card, and I was like. Yeah, I could kind of see it. I think it's definitely worth mentioning. So, I don't know if it's going to break out, but It's kind of a combo E card that kind of turns all your artifacts into signets somewhat.
Yeah, like turning everything into mana, it makes for dangerous options. So, I agree. The question really becomes how many do nothing artifacts can you put into a deck before you die, and and I guess it will see if Standard manages to maintain any sort of aggression. So I know Morgan doesn't have high hopes.
Yeah, not really. I don't see it yet, but we'll see. I could be proven wrong. I'm also not a very good deck builder, so
Well, that's not. Don't do that to yourself.
that's true.
No, we're going to keep it positive. We're almost done. We're going to keep our heads up.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Dave, you're up.
All right. Lifecrafter's Bestiary. It's a 3-mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. And it also has, whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. So this one does a couple different things that really aren't that great, but if it's tacked onto the same card, it might be okay. Like, being able to scry whenever you upkeep, we saw that on Thassa, which was okay. Obviously the longer the game goes, you're going to get an advantage out of that. Paying extra mana to draw cards. If we're talking about, was it Rishkar, is that guy's name?
Yes.
You may have some extra mana, laying around to be able to do this. So, in itself, it doesn't really do anything. I think that's the problem, because we have had similar cards. But maybe it's worth playing like as a sideboard card, and if you're playing like a really grindy game. I don't know.
I think there's a couple of decks that may already use it. I mentioned like a mono green deck, or things like the Greenbelt Rampager really can take advantage of this, because you cast it and you pay a green and draw a card, and then you bounce the Rampager back to your hand. And for a certain style of green deck, it's a card that can really allow them to not run out of gas.
Yeah, just grind.
So, but again, we'll have to see how well those are positioned in the format, just because, again, of certain other combos that green doesn't have great interaction for. So, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Next up is Merchant's Dockhand. This is a 1-mana artifact creature construct. It's a 1/2. It has an activated ability that says 3 generic and a blue, tap it. Tap X untapped artifacts you control. Look at the top X cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And this is the card that might be the payoff for some of the, I guess one of the interesting improvised cards, I should say, because like you play it
turn
on
those do nothings.
Well, you play this on 1, and it's not, maybe it's attacking for 1, but it's probably just helping you cast Metallic Rebuke, and then you start like end step, and it says put one of them into your hand. Like, it's not like put an artifact into your hand. So like
just draw a card.
Yeah, on its own, it's just draw a card, right? You have to tap another.
Yeah, you have to tap it, but it's still like, we've seen like 4-mana, like 1-drops that have like, well, there's an Eldrazi currently that's like that, has 4 mana, draw a card. This is a lot better than that though, because it helps again cast your other spells that have the improvise, and it lets you dig for those other pieces. It lets you dig for your draw 3 spell. It lets you dig for your Whirl of Invention. Like, I think this card is deceptively powerful. Slow, but deceptively powerful.
Yeah, I think so. And like, if you are playing improvised cards, like you just want like cheap artifacts anyway, because it's effectively a mana creature in those style of decks. So that one, I kind of like at first glance, I was like, that's kind of expensive, but like if you get to activate it for like anything substantial, it's just like impulse. Okay, it's pretty good. Next up, we have Metallic Mimic. It's a 2-colorless artifact shapeshifter. It's a 2/1, so 2-mana 2/1. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and it is the chosen type in addition to its other types. And then each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So it's kind of a lord for whatever you want. So you can play this in something like humans, and it's kind of a, I guess, reverse Thalia's Lieutenant, where like you want to play this one first, and then all the rest of your humans would be +1. Yeah. There's also not an infinite combo, but there is a combo with this card.
It's like Thopter Sword in Modern.
Yeah. So do you want to get into that? Because I don't actually have the other card.
So you play Animation Module, which is a 1-mana artifact from Kaladesh that says whenever a +1/+1 counter is placed upon a creature you control, you can pay 1 and get a servo. It can also pay 3 to tap to put a counter on something that already has it, or put a counter of a type on something or a player, which is cool. So you play Metallic Mimic, and you name Servo, and then you play a Servo generating card, and then it'll prompt so the servos will get +1/+1 counters. That'll prompt you to trigger your animation module. You'll pay 1. You'll go to Servo. The Servo will come into play with a +1/+1 counter, which will prompt the animation module again. So essentially, as much mana as you have,
You get 2/2s.
as many as you want. Yep. So, and the nice thing is because of the way that the animation module works, you can pay 3 mana to put a counter on something that already has a counter. So then, even if you can keep doing it each turn, which is why I say it sounds like Bounty Foundry. So it's pretty interesting. It's not exactly resilient. This literally dies to just about everything. But it's a cool for these aggressive decks that need a little bit of synergy to go sometimes your aggro draw doesn't work, but sometimes you just need to make as many Thopters as possible, and your opponent really can't do much about it. So it's pretty cool. I have to mention, and we're gonna see if you agree with me. The art on this looks like the most recent version of the AI they've had on television that has the rubber face on it. And it's just I am a human.
Yeah.
I will replace humans.
Yeah.
It's no, don't do that. You
Stop
don't
it.
really look human. It's look at its eyes and its lips. It's just no, I'm gonna eat your soul. It'll be my
no.
soul. I'll have a soul.
People in Kaladesh are who made this? Who made this creepy thing?
Show me your master. I have no master. I am free. No, you stop talking like that. That is not okay.
You done created sentience.
Can we put this through the planar portal? Do you like Sprite? No. See, it's a monster. It's a monster. Do you like Sprite?
I do think this also makes a good Eldrazi.
It does, in fact, make a good Eldrazi.
So,
Scion's getting +1/+1 counters is really relevant.
So turn 2 this into turn 3 Sky Spawner. It's pretty gross.
Power. Yeah, it's 5
Yeah.
power.
And then Thought Not Seer. Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing. I mean, the Eldrazi Scions are, I guess, the other tokens that we have.
A ton of that is true.
Yeah.
So, you could play vampires and play Call the Bloodline.
You could.
Yeah.
These are things.
So, all right. Next card here is. Oh, we put Ornithopter on the list.
Ornithopter's in the set.
All right.
All right. Next.
Is Paradox Engine. This is a 5 mana legendary art. A lot of legendary artifacts.
Yes.
Hey, I mean that's Inventor's Fair, man.
Yeah, I guess so. It just says whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control. This thing is broken beyond.
I mean, it's what?
So I'll ask you this again. Urza's Destiny? Urza's Block?
Yeah,
This card would have fit into Urza's Block,
Yeah.
and you know it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
man.
but it also would have just added mana for some reason.
Oh, yeah,
it would have
that's true.
tapped for 3, and then it's just oh yeah,
Blue spells you cast cost 2 less.
yeah, nothing could ever go wrong here.
And I think Morgan and I both have already seen this functioning firsthand.
Yeah. Fairly potently.
So it's really good with things like Cultivator's Caravan
Yep.
and Hedron Archive.
So basically, any mana artifact.
Yeah. So and then you cast a spell and you untap those. The version I saw was playing, I said, Anticipate and Take Inventory, which Take Inventory is a great card for that deck, and a bunch of mana guys, so Hedron Crawler, anything else. And it assembled some board states where it just kept casting spells, and then finally, I think it played a Metallurgic Summonings, and then the Gonti's Aether Heart, and then took another turn and killed me with all the... they were all 2/2s, but it doesn't matter. Oh, and here's the best part. He has, at some point, he essentially just has infinite mana. Because so when you look at if you have more than one Cultivator's Caravan and a Hedron Archive, then most of your spells only cost 2, so you can just do the float of mana thing over and over again. So then you can just crack these summonings and bring all your spells back, and it's gross. Now it's weak to counter magic. Playing mana rocks is also a good way to flood, but you got to watch out for this card, because if this card lands, your opponent isn't doing anything fair. Nothing.
Right. Yes.
Also good with Cryptolith Right, by the way, which I think, Dave, you said something along the lines of everything's good with Cryptolith Right.
That's true.
But this is pretty bonkers with Cryptolith Right. So what if I told you, and I feel, okay, I'm just being Morpheus now, I'm just a Morpheus meme. What if I told you Duskwatch Recruiter could just find every creature in your deck? It's I'll tap these and cast this. Oh, all my creatures on tap, and then I'll activate the ability again. Oh, and I'll cast this creature, and all my creatures on tap.
So is this just Like, you just put this in like elves and modern or something. You just go off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They'd have to be able to draw cards.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess you don't
have
you
glimpse.
don't have glimpse. Yeah, but like, that's
But it's got to be close. Like, man,
yeah. This is just a card that's like, yeah. It's not doing anything
no,
fair. Like
it's
you
no
said,
Jeskai Ascendancy, but it's pretty
no
good.
it's no Jessica Ascendancy, but it has the same like feel of it, where it's like you read the card and you're like, huh.
Tapping permanents, like, or non-land permanents, like I said, it just does some gross things with mana rocks and mana producing creatures, and yeah. So yeah, just don't sleep on this one.
Yeah. All right, next one we're going to talk about, I believe, is Peace Walker Colossus.
Yeah, that name doesn't make any sense to me. You're a peace colossus. So you're from the X-Men. You're a Russian peace colossus.
Yeah. So this is a really strange vehicle, a couple different ways. So, Peace Walker Colossus is a 3-cost artifact vehicle, 6/6. It has an activated ability of colorless and a white generic and a white. For another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end turn, and it has a crew cost of 4. So this one is actually fairly difficult to crew, but it can turn your other vehicles into creatures, which could potentially crew this, I guess. So you can activate it, make your Heart of Karen into a creature, and then tap the Heart of Karen to make your 6/6.
Look at the art where the people are standing at the head, and then look at the other vehicle, the ship in the background. That's definitely that's coming in for like the pterodactyl head, or for the pterodactyl like chest piece. I mean, from the Megazord, like it's coming in. I just noticed the flavor text on this. It says peace. Its sole purpose is fear. So Healy and I get each other. We get it. We understand. I don't know that this card is good without Smuggler's Copter.
No.
And I don't think it was good with Smuggler's Copter, but at least it was better.
Yeah.
It is hilarious that like if you have 2 of these, they can just activate each other.
Yeah. But then you have a bunch of vanilla 6/6s, which I mean are big, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Big isn't like everything in this format, so.
Yeah, you can tell yourself that.
Hey, listen, when people are going infinite on turn 4, all right, big don't matter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this one's probably, if there's like a vehicle deck, then it probably plays this. I just don't know if that's going to be a thing or not.
Yeah, I don't think so. Next up, we have Planar Bridge. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, make sure I'm not crazy. This is a 6-mana legendary artifact. Shocking. It says, pay a generic, tap it, search your library for a permanent card, and put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So, and we talked about this when we had the Masterpiece spoilers, just like Paradox Engine. I'm actually more interested in story implications here because, well, they've made a Planar Portal again, which I'm going to keep saying this. It's how the Phyrexians got to Dominaria.
It's like Uber for Phyrexians.
It's like Uber for Phyrexians. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, and obviously we understand for our current story, this is how all the Sprite gets from Kaladesh to Amonkhet. We get it. We understand it.
It can ship it in large quantities.
But you know who's never had a Sprite? Elishorn. And she really wants to know.
She's all about that Sprite.
When Tezzeret was there, Tezzeret kept saying like, and then when Nicol Bolas gets here, we'll have much Sprite. And Elishorn's
You know what they have in New Phyrexia? 7-Up. Not the same.
Yeah, it's really sad too because they've been like torturing Koth, and like Koth just keeps like throwing it in Elishorn's face. It's like tell us something that you know, and Koth is like Sprite is delicious. Elishorn's like
What's like the generic Sprite that they have?
So Squirt.
oh god, Squirt is like lemon bait, like really.
Like, oh, is that like Squirt? Like. No.
I'd say like Sierra Mist is like.
Sure, but Sierra Mist is at least another name brand. Like
it is.
First of all, no one wants to drink anything titled Squirt. All right, no one, 0 people. All right, so yes, that is the off-brand in my opinion.
My wife raised her hand. She wants to drink Squirt. Man, 7-Up.
No, 7-Up is name brand. They had Orlando Jones in a a set of their commercials.
They're doing well. They're Orlando Jones.
I mean, have you seen Evolution? Great film.
It's not a great film. It's got some people that I like, but it makes me sad that it exists.
That's true. Yeah, you got me there.
But anyways, man, sorry, we have talked about.
Yeah, that's a bit tangential. We're almost done. Come on, let's power through.
But I mean, in all seriousness, like in standard, I don't know. Like this is hard. This is a lot harder to abuse than like Paradox Engine is because it requires so much mana. But putting
you have things like Tron,
yeah,
in
like
modern,
maybe if it's possible. I don't know. I know Type 4. If you're into
yeah. So Type 4 fans, there you go. Auto include.
I think this card I doubt is going to see any sort of constructed play, but I really like the story implications.
I think it's like it's probably not going to happen, but it is possible in Tron, just because Tron can actually get up to that amount of mana in a reasonable amount of time to start just dropping Ugins on the board.
I think that in Tron, like you would just rather play another threat over.
Yeah. And that's probably true. I'm just saying, like if there is a deck that is out there that could play this, it'd be Tron.
Yeah. And the problem, even like in Eternal formats, like you have Omniscience, so you're not really
right.
Yeah, like even if you could make infinite mana like that, you're working too hard.
Yeah,
right.
So, that's all right.
All right. So going from the artifact that costs 14 mana to activate, we're going to go to the 1 mana Renegade map. It's an artifact. Enters the battlefield tapped, and it has the ability of tap and sacrifice it to search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. So, doesn't seem all that powerful. However, it's like we said, with some of the other artifacts, it's a cheap way to get improvise, and it is also a cheap way to activate Revolt. So
it certainly is. I'd like to point out that Magic the Gathering has made a Marauders map, and it's not as playable as I would like it to be.
So it's either the Marauders
this
map,
card is definitely playable,
or it's literally just a map for a. It's a map for a Halo map. Like it has all the weapon points and spawn points. And
Yeah. So it's got sweet heat maps on it already, so you know where all the contested points really are.
And you go down to the southern point of the map. That's where you get the sword.
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyway,
that's never going to be a Rebel symbol for me. I'm sorry. There's only one Rebel symbol, and Star Wars has had it for 30 years or 40 years, whatever.
I mean, not to say that this card isn't playable, but it's fine. It's lay of the land. I mean,
you don't play it just for that effect. Like
I understand, but I mean, like we've talked about all of these cheap artifacts that exist in the format. It's like how many are we going to play of these artifacts to not dilute our deck?
Yeah, and that's a real point. I think this card is playable, but like I don't know, like it has to do a lot of work to be better than like even like a 2 in the Aether. Now there's some decks that will want it, but
I mean, I think there are enough cheap artifacts that replace themselves or draw you cards in some way that those are the ones you're going to want to play. You don't want to just play something that's cheap just because it's cheap. Like you want it to have
but
be able to replace itself or whatever.
Yeah, but when all the cheap artifacts are like that, then if everyone's super, then no one's super.
Yeah, it makes it less special. All right, you want to talk about Scrap Trawler?
Yeah.
Scrap Trawler is a 3 generic mana artifact creature spider. Oh, I assumed it was a spider.
It looks like a spider.
Construct. It's a 3/2. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. So this one is certainly interesting. The fact that it triggers whenever an artifact dies is real spicy.
Yeah, I read this as only itself. When I first read it, I'm like, oh, it's just any artifact.
The issue is that it says lesser, and that is a bit tricky. But again, like I keep going back to, like I said, like this Pia's Revolution deck, like eventually at some point your opponent has to stop letting you get all your cards back. You know what I mean? Now, granted, the deck has to do something, but and like Ornithopter always comes back. It costs less than everything. It does.
This is true.
This card kind of reminds me of Matter Reshaper.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like, it's even a 3 mana 3/2, but can give you a little bit of value. Like if you have something in the graveyard, so when it dies, you draw a card, essentially. But yeah, the fact that it triggers off of everything, it definitely makes it a little bit more interesting than it otherwise would be.
Yep. Another piece.
All right. Next card is Walking Ballista, but we got to talk about Tricera Train, right?
Do we?
We even said last week we'll talk about Tricera Train.
Okay. Can we talk about Tricera Train instead of Walking Ballista, which I don't think is a playable card?
Kind of disagree. Just for the sheer fact that we were talking about Paradox Engine.
Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough.
And I don't know if you know this. You can cast this for 0 and trigger your Paradox Engine.
Yeah, I mean, it dies then.
It does, but it also doesn't matter if you're just going off.
Yeah, I
You
guess
even
that's
said
fair.
like how easy it is to like, get multiple counters and stuff like this with the snake.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Tricera Train first.
This is probably purely a cube card, limited card, but it's Untethered Express.
This is like a busted limited card, right? Untethered Express, 4 generic artifact vehicle, 4/4 trample. Has a crew 1, which is like that's the magic number. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it attacks as a 5/5 trample the first time. Pretty good. And it's just a train that's definitely just a Triceratops head
Fact.
in the front. Tricera Train.
So let's get all these cards, all the train cards, like Renegade Freighter and this card, and just get them like Thomas the Tank Engine altered. How about that?
Well, so can I?
Well, this one would be like not so like Renegade Freighter would have to be Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh,
right? 'Cause
yeah.
that was like the OG.
Yeah.
This one is like I don't even know what the other
I
one's name
don't.
is. Like
no one
Dennis
knows.
or whatever.
No one knows the other ones are.
Dennis the Train.
Katie, name another Thomas. The train. No, please.
Is it like
Percy.
a-
Yeah, Percy.
Oh, Percy.
Percy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Percy's
This
the
is
one,
Percy.
Hold on, Percy's the one that gets bricked into the wall, and that really like it always shows up on the list of like really upsetting kids show moments. Like he gets literally like Casco Amontillado style bricked into a wall. I remember Percy.
All right, yeah,
Though-
this,
though
this
this-
is Percy.
This one's probably not Percy. You'd be able to bust through that wall pretty easily with that giant horn.
So can I just ask a question about like Kaladesh?
Yeah.
Why are all the trains off the track? Like it even says rules and rails are made to be broken. No, they're not. Not for trains. They're made.
Yeah,
to,
they're literally to be on one track and not
like, it's
not
not-
beyond
like,
that.
I don't understand. Like Renegade Freighter 2 is like what? Like yeah, I get it. It's a freighter for the Renegades, but like they can't go anywhere that the rails aren't, right? Like
They can't go literally anywhere.
you can't have a cowboy train. Like I need you to understand. That, like it goes on the same tracks as the other ones. It's like, oh no, did you hear that whistle?
Well, cowboys ride horses though.
No, but I'm saying like the Renegade train that's like on the tracks in the Old West that like is like
Yeah.
oh you don't want to see it coming up on the tracks on you, and it's like, well, how couldn't they just stop it?
Step off the tracks and
I was
then
like, not just that, like the other trains that are like, oh, they're gonna get us. It's like, but they're on the same tracks. Just like cut the tracks off. No, you don't understand. He's a renegade. Nice, stupid trains.
Anyway,
let's talk about the real card.
All right, go ahead. You still do Walking Ballista.
All right, Walking Ballista. It's an artifact construct that it costs XX. That's a 0/0. When it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, you can pay 4 generic to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it also has the ability of remove a +1/+1 counter to have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. I don't know how you could say this is not a playable card. Like it's not Hangerback Walker good, but like it is a similar card to Hangerback Walker, and I don't know how you could just like dismiss it.
I just think it's really average. Like Hangerback Walker was easy to grow in the early turns, which is what
Sure.
made it a threat. This doesn't do that. This is nothing like that.
That's true. There are a lot of like +1/+1 counter synergies that you can make it bigger. It scales well, going into the late game. This is a pretty good top deck, right? Like you'd be able to play this for 6 mana for 3/3. That
Sure,
can ping
it
threes.
certainly could be. I don't disagree that it scales, but I think like half the reason Hangerback Walker wasn't good because you could cast it for 6, on turn whatever. It was good because on turn 2 it could be a bigger card on 3 and 4. Yes, you could find ways to make this synergistic, and maybe that's worth it. But comparing this card to Hangerback Walker, it's laughable to me.
Well, yeah, I said it wasn't as good,
But I think Hangerback Walker even showed that after a while, that it itself was barely playable. It just depended on the format. Like this one, yes, dealing the damage is good. Like giving decks that don't normally have reach is good. But man, I feel like the format would have to be in a really weird place. Now, I will say, this card, the only thing I will give this card is this card just on 2, and it just sits there on the battlefield. It does stop your Saheeli opponent from going off. So
hilarious.
it just sits there like a little I see you.
just has a gun pointed in the right direction. Like,
Don't
go ahead.
move.
Yeah, don't move.
It's like was the Mexican standoff. I'm just
Yeah.
but
I suppose they could just up the Sealy once, and then the next turn go off.
No,
Yeah,
not how
it
that
goes.
works.
Yeah, it goes. It
it
has
has
the
to go to
blanket.
1 every single time.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
what
right,
shot
right,
works.
right. Okay, so the second one. Yeah, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
I mean, its card is okay, but like I would have to. I would need to see to be a believer. I'm not hyped about
hey, you
this.
mentioned getting infinite mana with Panharmonicon, double
Yeah.
Felidar Guardian. Hey, you know what you can do with infinite mana? Make
Yeah.
an infinite XX.
I certainly could do that.
No, I mean, I think this card is. I think it's definitely constructed playable. Now, whether how good it is depends on how the format shapes up. But I think this, I played with Triskelion in my day, and this is pretty similar to Triskelion. It could be like a little Triskelion.
So,
mini
like,
Triskelion.
like I was saying, the deck that I played against was playing this card. It was also playing the artifact you guys talked about, the one that scries 1 and then you pay a green if you play a creature.
Sure.
So he was able to continually profit off of playing creatures, drawing cards. You draw into these.
Oh, it was like a 0, pay a green, draw a card.
Yeah, and like eventually they cultivated so much mana that they were able to like play one of these as like a 7/7 in the mow down my board with the deck I was playing. So, I mean, if you there are ways in this format to generate a whole lot of mana, and this is a one way to sink it. And I was like you, Mike, and I did not consider this card very highly, but what that player showed me this card could do in a deck that kind of went unfettered, which let's be honest, a lot of these artifact decks probably are. We don't have the best answers for them in the format. You know, they can probably get away with doing a lot of
This one
stuff.
just dies to most removal though, unless they're casting it with a huge amount to begin with,
Which is
so then, like,
what's happening.
Like then your deck is letting that do that. Like,
Correct.
that means your deck isn't losing so much to this card; it's losing to the deck.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
I mean, the deck needs an
It does
outlet.
need a win condition. You're right.
It,
But
does, it
I
needs an
don't-
outlet.
I will gladly eat my hat on this one if it's really good. But
I'm not saying it's really good, but it's a thing that I would not have
It's-
expected to be as good as it turned out to be.
Yeah, it's definitely a playable card. Again, Hangerback Walker gave you value. Like if you cast it, for 4 mana and they killed it, you still got 2 Founders and it was great.
Right.
This one, you'll get to do 2 damage in that situation, which may or may not be good. But I think the fact that it scales makes it better than it otherwise would be, because at any point in the game, it's going to be decent.
Okay.
So
that's fair. I again, I'll consume my hat, but I don't know.
all right, one card left. This card is sick.
I'm really high on this card. This is the
Yeah.
only land in the set. Spire of Industry.
Not basic land.
What do you mean?
Only
There's no
land.
basics in this set.
I mean, you'll still have basics in the packs though.
Oh, but there's no basics in this set.
Yeah, I understand, but
No, I was right. You're just being like, you're trying to be technical on something that isn't technical. Those are from Kaladesh. They have the Kaladesh symbol on them. They're not in this set.
But I
we just
understand that. Go ahead.
No, I want to be technically correct. The best kind of correct. This is Spire of Industry. This is a land, non-basic. Tap, add a generic to your mana pool, or tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control an artifact. So it's a City of Brass that only works if you have an artifact. But guess what? It's really easy to have an artifact in this set.
You heard of these things called clue tokens?
Theriman Inspector continues to... That should have been banned. That card is so good. Like, man, you just play Theriman Inspector, then you just turn on your City Brass forever. And, like, I love the fact that this is... I've sat here and argued with Keller before, who used to be on the show sometimes, about, like, how I wish Grand Coliseum was in his cube, because I really thought that was the sweetest City of Brass variant, because you didn't have to tap it. Grand
you could
Coliseum
tap
went to
it
the
for
battlefield
colorless.
tapped, but it could tap for City of Brass purposes or for colorless. Well, this one does that and is really easy to turn on. Like, I would be surprised if, like, even some Affinity decks look into this, even if it's just a cheaper version of, like, Glimmer Void. You know what I mean? Like, or a version of Glimmer Void that doesn't die to Hurkyl's Recall. So I think this card is gonna, like, I think the aggressive decks in this format, while they have been hampered by obviously the Copter Man, this makes their mana really, really good. If your artifacts are in your curve in any fashion, like this card is great, because now you can play Aether Hub, you can play this, you can play fast lands. Like, you really don't have to worry about your mana too much, which is pretty cool. So I'm really surprised they gave us this land. I think this card, heck, look at Eldrazi. Like Eldrazi now has essentially
Yep.
2 City of Brass effects that also tap for colorless. Like, because you have what is it? Something Crossroads.
Yeah, you have to play Devoid with that though.
Well, sure, but I'm saying if you're playing Eldrazi,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. They are. So I think so like Eldrazi goes from having like no pain lands to having essentially 8 lands. You mentioned the shapeshifter that is on turn 2. That's an artifact named Eldrazi. All of a sudden, your Spire of Industry's turned on. Like
Then now you can get your blue mana to cast your Sky Spawner.
So
Yeah.
this card, get 4 of them, keep 4 of them.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I've definitely seen. I know Sam Black wrote about updates to Lander Control, and he said this is definitely like a card that he's going to play in Lander Control.
I mean, it's playing pain lands already, right? Like, isn't just better than most of its pain lands?
Yes. And we talked about potentially War of Invention being a card that might want to play. This is a card that can let you this along with Glimmer Void, along with Mox Opal.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem that far fetched to like be able to add triple blue. So
I do have to say, art for this card, a little bland.
Yeah.
Art review, could have done better.
Now, I would say this. I've been playing the BioShock remasters, but this definitely feels like an Andrew Ryan. Like,
Yeah,
welcome to Rapture, the Spire of Industry.
Yeah.
The Great Chain is wrapped around
It's
the
kind
Spire
of boring.
of
There's
Industry.
not a lot going on. Cool
Yeah.
card,
That's fair.
little meh.
For something that's called the Spire of Industry, all we see is like a little bit of smoke coming off the top. So
Yeah. Meh.
It's like, is that really a Spire of Industry? I
But,
guess.
we don't play cards for the art of them all the time. This is a good card.
I mean, I only exclusively play cards for the art.
Oh, man. You're all art preferred EDH deck?
I literally can't play this Metallic Mimic card in Standard. It's going to upset me. So.
The what?
The Metallic Mimic. Like, I won't be able to play it in Standard.
Oh,
it's gonna literally upset me when I can't. Like, it's
I
gonna
don't
be in
know.
my hand.
You might not have a choice. Might be in the deck you want to play.
Get these slow play warnings from my judge. Just like, I'm sorry, I'm making eye contact with the Mimic again.
All right, well, that's the review. We talked about all the cards we want to talk about. It only took us so long, almost 4 hours.
Yeah, that's the long one. But you knew
4 hours.
You love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about when we started. Think about where we are now. Think about all the things we talked about.
Think about where we started. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was going to start singing Hamilton. It's really late.
All right. So that is everything for the Aether Revolt-a-PALOOZA over the weekend. Like we said, there's going to be pre-releases. So go out and attend your local pre-release if that's something that you want to do. We do encourage it. It is a whole lot of fun. And, it's a good way to get introduced to the set. And, just go and have fun. Don't go and try to be, the alpha competitive player. Don't go into these events like hoping to get like sweet value or to crush your opponents. Go have fun, make friends, build fun decks. Like, be casual, about this whole affair. That's what pre-releases should be. And if you can't do that, maybe the pre-release, maybe it isn't your thing.
Yeah, you mentioned getting introduced to the set. I mean, it could also just be your introduction to
Magic as a
tournament
whole.
Magic. Yeah. So.
It's a great place, for you to start. That's how I started playing Magic was pre-releases when I wanted to start being competitive, and that's how you get into FNMs, and that's how you get into Opens, and that's how you get the GPs, and that's how you get to Pro Tours for some people, not me.
I would imagine most of our listeners probably have played in a tournament before, but
If you haven't,
But if you haven't.
if you just listen to us because we talk about Magic and are funny, then go to a pre-release. It's genuinely a good time. You don't have to be worried that you're gonna step into an environment hopefully that is going to be full of people that are instantly better than you and have more experience. A lot of the people that attend pre-releases are probably on the same level play-wise as you, and just go and want to have fun and get new cards from the new set. That's probably the most exciting part. You actually get to open up some fresh Aether Revolt packs. So, but that's a big thing that's happening over the weekend. There really isn't anything else that I know of that is going to be over this.
No, it's pre-release weekend. That's
Yeah,
what it
nothing
is.
else happens. So,
But nothing. Like, life stops.
exactly. Yep. The world stops for Aether Revolt. But we do have plenty of ways that you can get to us and get in contact with us. We want to reinforce, so we do have a Twitter. We are just your end step, so you can do a quick search, and then when you add us, it's at symbol your end step. It's very clever. We also have a Gmail account. It's just at your end step at gmail.com, and you can also reach out to us on Facebook. You can do a quick search for at your end step on Facebook, and we show up. And you can do the same thing for our lovely sponsor, Comic Town. Just do a quick search for Comic Town Gaming Center, or visit their website, worldofcomictown.com. As far as downloading the show, you can always get us from iTunes, and we also are on the Google Play Music Store. So those are the two best ways to get the podcast. We are also on MTG Cast, which is a great repository for so many other Magic podcasts. So go there and find a new show that you want to listen to. There's so many on there that no matter what kind of Magic you like playing, there's a show for it. So definitely check out that website as well. We will, of course, be back next week to talk more about some of these things that we saw in the bannings and everything like that, and sort of the ramifications that we might see from them. And then if anything else happens over the weekend, we'll be there to cover it. But I do really think that is going to be everything for us this week. We do appreciate you stopping by, and we'll catch you guys next time.